Do you connect the injury with the...
I think I was a soldier of fashion. Yeah. I actually deleted my Instagram. I had about 250,000 followers. It was the biggest blog at that time. And that's where you get all your fashion gossip. And gosh, the comments people would say, they saw like a pixelated photo of you and they just totally tore you apart. For our job, it's more of an art form. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're the silent actresses of our time.
Was it a moment when you realized this is the success I wanted?
Yeah.
Was that the job?
That was the job.
3 things you would recommend.
3 things I would recommend to somebody starting in this 2024. If someone isn't like really into me like having fun in front of the camera, if they're taking it too seriously, those are the people I kind of don't want to be around anymore.
Oh no.
Yeah. So there is a payment at the end.
The payment at the end.
Yeah.
Yes. Fashion Host Podcast. Today with us is a model who took fashion world by storm with her unique look and a signature gap-tooth smile.
She went from Kansas to Italian Vogue with Steven Meisel, then rocked Prada in Milan.
And by retiring by the age of just 23, she is now back.
Welcome, the unstoppable Lindsey Wixson.
Hi, Lindsey.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us this precious time, few days in New York, and you're sharing it with us.
Yeah, and thank you for having us in your place.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Looks really cool.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
She's back.
She's back. Lindsey, I remember when you came. I remember we started doing shows with you, and this truly unique look you have was like I couldn't take my eyes off of you. And I remember the first show, which like really. It wasn't your first show, but I remember when we really interacted. At some point, it was Marc Jacobs' show when you were still young, right? And how you were standing up your ground for the looks that they gave you, and you said you don't want to, you need to protect yourself. And that was really remarkable because it was transparent, and I think...
When was it?
I can't remember, but I think your nipples were covering, showing, and this little girl, she was like, no, I'm not going like this.
She wanted a bra.
Not I don't know, to put a layer under or nipple covers. And I was amazed by this little young girl at Marc Jacobs. Well, nobody says anything. She was like, no, tell me about the strength you have in you.
I think it's more of a cultural thing because I think it's like Midwestern to be like kind of a bit more reserved. I've had these discussions with my husband now where it's like, no, you shouldn't sexualize your body. Like the way we raise our son should be like accepting of all bodies and not saying, in certain situations, but at home, like not going towards this is a bad thing, or no, it's your body, and accepting it. But the way I grew up was a bit more like you should, cover up those parts, your boobs, you don't show that because it's just too shocking. And I mean, I guess in Western culture to be like exposing those parts. But also I was like under 18. Exactly, so I was very conscious of like, oh, I'm still a minor. Yeah. Like I have a right to stand up for myself and to, protect and not overexploit myself.
Were you aware that something like that is shocking to say to Marc Jacobs, hey, I need more cover? Because I feel back then, girls, even if they felt that way,
no one said it.
Yeah, they would not be so courageous to say it loudly.
I mean, maybe my view of Marc Jacobs wasn't the pinnacle of fashion at the time because I was thinking like, Prada, Chanel. Those are the ones that I don't want to step on anyone's toes. And for Marc Jacobs, it was like, okay, this is a top show, but this isn't something that I'm like afraid to do, to speak up, because maybe it's because I come from America, to be like knowing what is like culturally inappropriate. I don't know. And maybe it was also because I was so young, I was ready to like, fight for my right to not overexpose myself. Now, as I'm a mother, as I'm breastfeeding, I don't see my body in the same way that I did as a young girl at 16. So I just like, I would say that my perspective has changed a lot from that experience.
But probably if you go back, you wouldn't change that, right?
I mean,
at the age
wouldn't.
Of 16.
Yeah, I think I would have stood my ground even with what I know now.
And what was the solution afterwards? Did they fix it?
I'm not sure the specific situation. I remember there was one photo shoot that I shot with Alex White that we were all a bunch of girls shooting with Craig McDean, and the same sort of situation came up. And I think that Alex just put a bra on, or they changed the look or something.
Yeah, it's doable, really right?
Yeah. It was absolutely.
Well, if there is a will, there is a way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, so
let's go back to Kansas City.
Back to Kansas.
Yeah,
Kansas. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Kansas. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and I went to public school. I grew up in a lower middle class family. I knew from an early age that I would need to find financial independence, and to do that, I thought I should model, because a lot of people were saying, oh, you should model, you have this look. I was a lot taller and skinnier than a lot of people in my grade. And so I knew that modeling was the path that I wanted to take. I did a lot of research looking at Kate Moss's career, Giselle. I just went down the list of all of the top models and just did a deep dive research on how they got to the places they were, and what casting director and what makeup artist. I was going through all of the all of the industry, just sort of like, okay, I want to work with this person, I want to work with this person. And by the time I was 15, I was actually interviewing the scout who discovered me. He was like supposed to be interviewing me, but I found out later that I was actually interviewing him.
Do you work with this guy?
Well, I was just sort of like telling him, like, I want to work with Pat McGrath. I would like to work with Steven Meisel. Like, I want to do high fashion. I don't see myself as a LA model. I need to go to New York. And I think that sort of attitude got me sort of directly where I wanted to go.
Directly.
Express.
Because there was like a few discouraging moments where I was rejected by IMG because I was too young, New York Models, too young. And then I was seen by Francine Champagne, who owns Vision Los Angeles. And their scout, Tony Perkins, was the one who brought me to Vision LA with my mother. My mother actually took out a small loan to bring us to LA to rent a car for 2 weeks, stay in a model's apartment with another model in a bunk bed. I was sharing a bottom bunk with my mom.
Wow.
In a one room with one bathroom. The kitchen was all there. Like,
you had a kitchen?
There was a kitchen, yeah, and cockroaches and all of it.
All of it, yeah. The whole package.
North Hollywood. And then they took Polaroids, pictures, and got me into Model of the Minute, models.com. And then that was when Steven Meisel picked me up with the casting. And
yeah, I remember seeing her face on models.com.
Really?
Yeah, I remember, because I don't want to sound, but your eyes look like mine. on one of the photos, and I saw the photo and I'm like, I don't remember shooting this. And then it says Lindy. So I remember that because it was kind of profile. I couldn't see your mouth and I couldn't see your lower part so clearly. I just saw the eyes, and I thought, I'm like, I don't remember shooting because during my career, I would find a lot of photos of me on the internet. I would not remember a single moment of doing that show or shooting. Yeah. So
I guess you remember everything.
She does.
I mean, for like this show that you said that I was like resistant of the sheer top, I don't remember, but I can look at photo shoots and I have like flashes of memories.
You do?
Usually, yeah.
For some I do.
Usually good or bad memories for one reason or the other.
Why good or bad?
Yeah.
What is the bad memory?
Well,
Cold,
I mean, a general sense of like, oh, I was put outside and it was below zero and I held the pose for 30 minutes. But then there's this sense of like, okay, I did that, like feeling of accomplishment, but also like, oh, I hope I don't go in that situation again. Yeah. And so I'm always sort of like finding out, oh, is it on location? What's the temperature of where I'm going? I'm checking everything.
I feel much better. I never heard anyone who did that because I was the one doing it.
Would you cancel any job if the circumstances?
I have never canceled a job intentionally unless it was like maybe an extreme case of like the other job that wanted to confirm me. They were holding, it was a lot more money and they were just late on the confirmation. I don't think I've actually ever done that. I think once you confirm the job, it's done.
If you find out that you're going to be in a bathing suit in Antarctica.
Well, there's like one recent thing. They asked me, would you be in a swimming pool in studio for the entire day? And I said, is the pool heated? And it's probably not heated. And I'm like, I have a baby. I can't get sick. Yeah. All these things I maybe would have done when I was younger. Mm-hmm. But now as a mom, I have to be extra careful of my health.
And responsible.
Responsible. Exactly.
So Kansas, LA. Italian Vogue.
Yeah.
So LA, and then they saw me on models.com. So after 2.5 weeks, I was in LA. They we pay for our flights. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Paid for my mom and myself to go to New York, do this editorial, which actually never got published because it was the theme of the shoot was fetish, and I was too young looking. But the photos landed on Russell Marsh, the casting director of then Prada. Yeah. They landed on his desk. So then he found out about me via this
unpublished
Italian Vogue shoot. So that was the reason it traveled through the network of like what I had envisioned for myself. I was like, okay, if I can get on from Steven Meisel to Russell Marsh to Prada, then that's it. That would be my ideal start, and it was, and that's what happened.
Let's go back a little bit, just a few steps. Casting for Steven Meisel.
The casting for Steven Meisel happened via them seeing me on models.com.
Oh, okay. So
I didn't walk in anywhere. They just said, "Oh, we'll have her."
So Lindsey, how was it when you showed up to the photo shoot with Steven?
We were in a really big studio. I don't know if it's still a studio. It was off of Kinmar in Spring, and I wasn't allowed to have my mother on set. It was just me. I arrive. They take me directly to hair and makeup. They bleach my eyebrows. I'm like all for it.
That was a thing back then.
Yeah, it was a thing. I hate it.
Put me in a row, bleach my eyebrows.
But did you know about the theme of the shooting?
I knew. Yeah. I had the call sheet. Julian Deese, Pat McGrath, Steven, and the stylist I don't exactly remember. but I have an idea of who it may have been.
It's okay. It's okay. We're talking about you. Yeah, we're talking about you. Bleached eyebrows.
Bleached eyebrows. Then they teased my hair. They made it super big and puffy, and then sprayed it with like blue and pink and did all sorts of crazy, colorful makeup on me.
Did you enjoy that moment? Were you nervous?
I was totally into it.
Yeah.
And I was just like so starstruck because Jack was there and Carly was there, and I already knew who they were.
You're talking about models,
I knew
right?
who all they
Carly
were. Irina Kirkova and Rianne, and Carly Kloss and Jack Monica.
So that was the models that you used to watch on fashion TV.
I knew who they were because I was looking at models.com. I was looking at all of the top models.
Here you are, totally unexperienced girl working with this.
Kind of. I feel like I was moving pretty editorially. They were happy.
Yeah, because you were practicing.
I was practicing in the mirror. Yeah.
Did you use any of these poses that you practice at home? Or you invented new for the shoot?
I mean, they had me eating strawberries, so it was a lot of like playing with the props, and they had the mirror, the Mylar gigantic mirror on wheels, and you couldn't see the photographer. And someone said this to me. They'll put you in the most beautiful hair and makeup and clothes and everything, and you could literally be standing on your head and you're still gonna look fabulous.
Something like that.
Something like that. And so it was really fun to get to try out all of my practice.
For Steven.
Yeah.
Mr. Meisel.
Mr. Meisel,
Yeah.
So and then fast forward, you went to Milan for.
No, Russell saw her unpublished material
in New York at BCBG, and then he told me that he saw these images, and then I don't think I even saw them. I was ever.
Wow.
Is there a way to find those images?
Yes. Yeah, guys, can you do the work and find it for us?
And then that was basically the moment. I was with my sister in New York. We were staying in a model's apartment in Union Square. Again, bunk beds and with other models.
How many?
And I would say there were probably 2 in the other room, and then it was just, I think we had our own beds. We had our own bunks.
So you were with the agency already. Marilyn signed you.
Yes.
After this shoot with
Steven. Actually it was like I did the shoot and then I met them at Nobu, and then they were like, okay, you're like Charlize Theron and all this, and I was like with my mom at Nobu. It was like
so how was it for you when you were first rejected by the agencies?
I think I was 15, so it wasn't long after that I signed with Marilyn, and I knew that, okay, since this big agency doesn't want me, they wanted me after I confirmed Italian Vogue, but I said no, because I thought...
So age didn't matter anymore.
Age didn't matter anymore. And then I was like, I want to go with this boutique agency that Lily Donaldson's with. I don't think she was there. She just left. Adriana Lima, Lu Win, these types of models that I was like looking up to. And I ended up starting with the new faces, but sort of kind of automatically going to the women's board. That
where
agent...
after Steven...
Yeah. Where else?
You were
approved.
Yeah.
Approved. And then what would I recommend to models trying to start nowadays? There's no more Russell Marshes. There is a specific casting director who does handle a lot of the major shows, but I don't think that anything could be the same as when we did our jobs, because we have social media now.
Yeah.
And we have this illusion of you have this following, you have this popularity. This must mean the answer to success. For our job, it's it's more of an art form. I feel like we're the silent actresses of our time, because now it's become, oh, you must have this amount of followers, you must have, and I was really pushing against that. I actually deleted my Instagram. I had about 250,000 followers. I don't know if they were real or fake. I didn't buy them, but I had an injury that was pretty like substantial, like torn ligaments in the ball of my foot. And it was from years and years of trauma, scar tissue, and like footballers get it, soccer players get it, and soldiers get it.
Is that due to modeling? Do you connect the injury with the?
I think I was a soldier of fashion. Yeah. It was like,
for sure.
You know as much as I do, the shoes and the rigor of like the hours, and I was running around a lot for Karl Lagerfeld, the late great designer of Chanel, and I was pushing myself, but pushing myself in a way that was like unsustainable for like keeping my feet well, and just like in general, like I was just devoting my whole self to doing these jobs, because I was just like, I knew it was a big deal.
Yeah.
I knew at a certain point I was a bit jaded, but then I came back to it in a slower way with Chanel. It was like, oh, this is the peak of my career in a way. Yeah, so I deleted these followers because I was like, okay, that's it. Oof. I don't want people telling me, you need to come back, when I was just like in so much agony and pain and not knowing if I could come back to modeling.
And it was probably the hardest decision.
It was, I mean, I think that my agents were really upset with me more than I was upset with myself, because I was kind of like rebellious of the idea of popularity being an aspect of the art that I created, which I felt that I was creating with these collaborators, the fashion industry.
So you felt like social media will destroy the
it disrupted it, and I wanted to reject it, because when I started using Instagram in 2011, it was nice because it was sort of like a memory board. It was like easy, and now it's like you must do it for work, and it's like, okay, I get it. And then another aspect is I don't want to overexpose my life now that it's so public, and it's also can be a tool in a bad way, not just for the exploitative factor, but also for the oversaturation of like information that you can share in a given amount of time. It's just like really bad for mental health, and I've really been affected by it.
I agree with everything you said, but I wanted to, because I felt the same, I want to ask, do you think, because I don't, but do you girls think that having, I don't know, XYZ amount of followers would impact your career?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see some girls, they have 250,000 to 1 million, several million, and it affects your rate. And it's a weird paradigm, because I've been able to continue the momentum of my career, that I don't feel as stressed about lowering my rate to get the jobs, but I feel that a lot of other models have told me I had to lower my rate because it was slow this period or that period. And then you're then questioning your value in this really twisted way.
Because back then, like, the clients make you a star. Now it's like you make yourself star
your followers
with the followers, and then they pick you for a job.
Yeah, it works differently for everyone, I feel like, and especially if you've had a career or have a resume like we have, and it could be hard to sort of put the fire under the agent and be like, look, I have this resume.
You don't have enough followers.
But you don't have enough followers. Well, the client looks at the followers and I'm like, I have come to a point with my team that they don't care about that.
Okay.
They're just like solely like, you know how to move, you need to model.
Good. So you do have a support from your team that social media.
It was a rocky period where I was just like, look, I'm booking jobs. Look, I can make the rate that I was making, or somewhere, you know, like a substantial amount of money. It changes because of the markets, obviously, but I feel like having the same agents and staying very loyal has been the most helpful in my career, even though there have been rough moments where I'm like, okay, well, not working, and it's actually more about me taking the reins and sort of putting myself out there in ways where I've reached out to designers to walk shows for them, because the agent wouldn't go out and do that because the rate, you know, shows don't pay as much as commercial jobs. So it's really been a balance of like, okay, now I need to get the momentum going. So I press the gas, and that has been the real secret behind, I think,
comeback,
the longevity. Yeah.
So you are doing modeling job, but you're also doing like a agent job for yourself.
A little bit, yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely set it up and then I give them my agent, you know, connect the casting, and yeah. So there's a bit of that.
Kansas girl, yes, Kansas girl.
They work for you, but you also are working for yourself.
That's a very good tip.
I wonder how casting directors feel about that when you're jumping over them.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know.
That's a
very diplomatic
answer.
Because you know they're like gatekeepers, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like some casting director that's doing some major. It's like a younger designer that I'm reaching out to. It's like connecting the dots between the agents and the newer casting and the newer designer, which I think is great.
For sure.
I think
opens the gate to like my agency getting more work for their models.
Yeah, and at this point of your career,
she knows what she's doing.
You know what you're doing. Yeah.
So 3 things you would recommend.
3 things I would recommend to somebody starting in this 2024.
Yes.
I would say do your research as much as you can with the models that you admire now, because times have changed. So the more contemporary models, seeing how they got started, how they were scouted, check the boxes of like doing your research. And then I think that it's really brutal to say this, but it's like really image based, and it's really, we gain like a genetic lottery. So I don't know, you have to find the agent which will believe in you and represent you in a way that's it's a good path for the specific person. Because to say like, you know, like how we started, that it's changed the industry. Who designers are hiring has diversified, and that's great. But I have found myself like, where do I fit in all of this now? And like, maybe I'm just writing what I, you know, built up. So I can't really say too much about how to start in this day and age, because I don't really know how you would.
That's a good thing.
But it is. But
it's
I don't think they know. I don't think there is a formal. I think we are a big mess now.
No, because I'm getting these questions a lot on social media. Young people ask me, how do I start? I don't know. I don't know.
It's different. It's a big mess.
I think that you can still enter yourself into the agencies, but finding the right agency to represent your specific look is the best.
How do you know what is the right agency?
You look at the models, you go on the websites, like researching, just like doing a deep dive of like, okay, who do I look like?
Mm-hmm.
Who do I have features that are represented at this agency? Or I don't know if that's the way, or what kind of career do I want? Do I want a commercial career? There's so many different aspects of modeling that can cross over with acting. But I think that discovering that within that person's own journey is important, because just asking somebody who's already achieved so much, it's hard. And I feel like I could be a little bit complacent because I did my own research, I did my own path. And it was a specific time frame, which that look, our look was like really in.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I'm kind of a novelty.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, let's do the Versace again. Like, oh, okay, nostalgia.
Yeah, but I feel agencies are not as enthusiastic as they used to be in our time. I feel like agents are now bored.
Yeah, bored or
And
just
they're
not inspired.
Yes.
So I think that actually the agent that you find needs to be young, driven, inspired, enthusiastic. These are the characteristics that you should look for in an agent.
But then the question is, do they have enough connections?
And that's another thing. I don't know how well of a connected person you really need to be, because I feel like
an agent?
Yeah, I don't. Nowadays, there are agencies that like literally are just on the internet. And I feel like it's how they use the tools of the internet now, more so than it was 15 years ago.
Yeah, well, 20 years ago, you have to go and see the client in person without even casting, just to meet.
Yeah,
Then
and I felt like
casting.
our agents, they were connected with all.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that connected that, we have a new girl in town. Do you have a time to
should
see her? Just
But now
see
we
her,
can't
not
do that. After
Yes.
COVID, you have to be invited to the casting. So it's more a level of like, you're playing with an algorithm, which is Instagram, which is who follows you. And if someone likes your post, then somebody that follows you sees it. It's like really a different game.
Mm-hmm.
It is a different game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And
know
it's
how
really
to play
lucky.
it. I swear to
I don't know
God.
how to play.
Yeah.
So maybe if we get some knowledge from our younger generation
yeah.
who knows how to play, and
Youngsters.
you guys teach us.
Yeah.
how to play this game after 20 years of being in. Let's go back to your first show.
My first show was actually Cynthia Steffi, and I was so serious and like just this little baby face going in there, and they were just like oohing and awing, and I was like, I think I'm gonna get this show. Like, this is going really well. They're trying so many looks on me. And then I get to the runway and I see the same lights as style.com runway, and I'm like, I'm in style.com. I was like so just blown away by what I felt like I had manifested. And so if you want to see those pictures, Cynthia Steffi.
Best backstage buddy.
I don't know if there was always the photographer who was like, oh, stand next to Daphne. So we weren't actually buddies, but there was always a model that they always wanted to put me next to. And then Kara, we were kind of buddies for a little period of time, but that was, I don't know if I had a consistent buddy. I was always really excited to see Prada and Hannah Gabe and Cassia Struz.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was like those were the girls that I was like, oh yeah, they're here. But I don't know how
gang.
I don't know how buddy we were.
But Lindsey, how was it for you when you first started to do the shows? Like when you were at Prada, and I mean the backstage is pretty intense there.
It was intense there because everything's concrete and like the lighting is kind of intense. And
I mean the whole atmosphere is intense.
No, but it became sort of homey for me because I would spend so much time there doing the looks. Right. I was doing the looks and I was with my sister, So, and
that was exclusive, right? For Prada and Miu Miu.
Yes, they called me in to do Prada, and I didn't know until after Prada if I would do the Miu Miu exclusive, and that's when we found out we were going to Paris, and the same situation where we would sit for all day, and since I was a minor, it was different laws of when I mean, it was similar to Italy, but laws where I had to go home at a certain time. So it was really, I got the golden ticket of like, I did the job and then I could go home at dinner time, and that was really nice because it's not the case for most models.
Were you aware what exclusivity means before you booked it?
Yes, and I knew how important it was not to say anything to anyone. Mm-hmm. And for the agent not to say anything to anyone because it can spoil the entire secret. Oh. You're like, a secret. They're exclusive. And it's like really a big deal. Mm-hmm. And I knew it was a big deal, but also no one knew who I was. But there were like these fashion blogs that were like gossiping. And then like, I remember waking up the next morning after opening the Prada, after I did the exclusive for them, and I was like reading the comments, and that's when I had to stop doing that because I was just sort of like, this is so weird. It felt like you know the trajectory of my career changed, and like the world sort of like everything that I had dreamed of was coming true. I was like, wow.
Was it a moment when you realized this is the success I wanted? Yeah. Was that the job?
That was the job. That was the job because I knew how big of a deal it was for my career to be just a new face opening Prada. I don't know if it's still the same, if there's still the same feelings, but at that time, 15 years ago, 2010, I was totally there.
Yeah, you knew like the girl who opens Prada, it's guaranteed that she's going to work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You said you stopped reading comments about.
On this what was it called? It was like a fashion blog.
Fashion Spot.
Fashion Spot. That's the one. And it was
the biggest blog at that time.
It was the biggest blog at that time. And that's where you get all your fashion gossip. And the comments people would say, they saw like a pixelated photo of you and they just totally tore you apart. It was bad.
Was there a specific comment that made you stop?
I think that it was probably after the Prada thing that I kind of stopped showing interest because I was just like, I'm in it. I'm doing it. It doesn't matter now.
It doesn't matter what they talk about.
Yeah.
That's good.
Girl. That's really healthy.
Yeah. Was it hard to you when you were rejected after that?
Sometimes I would be rejected. I would go to castings and it would definitely feel like a letdown. Mm-hmm. But at a certain point, I think that I was actually, so I would take rejection in a negative way, but at a certain point I was just sort of like, I'm working enough. I'm glad they rejected me. Yeah. I'm like, I can take a break. But now it's sort of like, I think the waiting is really now, just in the present, waiting for someone. And then also if you go the extra distance and make them a video, and the direction is like, and I want them to be swaggy and walk with their hair like flipping into the camera. And you're just like, I'm kind of taking the piss because I'm just sort of like, who is this person? They're so extra. And then I just like kind of make it fun. And then I get sort of like in the moment, I'm like exhilarated again because I'm like wearing these tall heels and I'm like, what am I doing? Am I gonna hurt myself?
You're talking about now, right?
Now. Like I had someone ask me for like a hair contract and they wanted me to like do a walking video with like a cat suit on and like the like really tall heels. So I did it.
Where did you get the cat suit?
Just like Skims.
Yes.
Like a little thing. And then I did it and then I didn't get the job and I was just like, yeah, I thought I would get it, but you know, it's good that I didn't get it because if someone isn't like really into me like having fun in front of the camera, if they're taking it too seriously, those are the people I kind of don't want to be around anymore. Because I want it to be fun.
To create.
I want to create and I want people to have a little bit more of a creative side because it's like I've been doing it so long.
Lindsey, so now you're back after your injury and what about heels now?
Heels, I can walk in heels again. Luckily, it feels fine. Sometimes I have some sort of like hopping, but it's like, that's with age, I feel like. You know, I'm an old lady
I feel like I've been working this past couple of days on flat. No, on flats. But it still hurts.
Yeah.
It still hurts to be on, just to stand for a long time. It's like,
all the girls are having issue, like big girls doing, after so many years of doing shows and stuff, they're suffering with the foot injuries and hair loss.
The hips.
Oh.
And hair loss. A lot of girls are
really
almost bald.
Because the hairstyle is too rough? Oh, no.
Yeah, so there is a payment at the end.
The payment at the end, yeah, that's true.
Hips, back, feet.
I mean, I was pregnant, so I had some like sciatic pain, some round joint pain, and getting an exercise ball. This touches on wellness.
Yeah.
Rolling around on the exercise ball, sitting on the exercise ball, really good for the hips, and then taking these sort of round balls and rolling them underneath the feet. Using arnica for the feet. Like there's so many different kinds, strengths. Also for pain, I was using in my pregnancy, giving birth, I was using CBD oil, really strong, like 600 milligrams CBD on my lower belly and my lower back, to help with managing the pain, but also for the foot injury, if I have something going on, magnesium oil, doing Epsom salt baths.
In a cold or hot water?
I like hot water. I can't do cold. I do cold showers sometimes, but with the sauna. Yeah.
Combined.
But not very often. Like the sauna is like a special treat. When I travel and there's a sauna, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I wanted to ask about, is there any photo of you that you love dearly from the era, not the personal moments, from the career?
From the career, there's several that were taken by Tim Walker. I love his cinematography. I love his work. The ones with Karl, there are some, like the very first shots we did for a hat campaign, Maison Michel, he had his studio print them out, and I actually have them in frames. I just, like in the past year, got them framed, but they were sitting in my garage, not framed. Like, I don't know how they stayed fresh and unscathed, but they were wrapped up really well.
Oh, wow.
And then my husband encouraged me to get them framed, so I did as a gift to myself.
I want to see them.
Yeah, I'll bring them out.
You worked with Karl. Karl, artist, such a big artist, we all know, but you worked with him as model for his shows. So he worked as a designer, and you shot with him as photographer. Can you compare Karl, those two artistic sides of him?
Yes, I would say that behind the desk, when you go into your fitting, he's much more reserved. He would say, "Hi, how are you?" And he would always have a special guest, an editor, sitting with him, along with Amanda and Virginie and Aurelie, and they would all be sitting around a table. And it sort of like always felt like he was extending his arm, like in a metaphorical sense, like because it didn't always feel the most welcoming in that situation, for me at least. And it just was like kind of nice. You did like a little walk, a little prance, and then you'd like say something nice, and then you would change into the next look. But it was always really busy, a lot of other girls coming in and out, the seamstresses like doing all the observations, the accessorization obviously, and then you would be gone. You wouldn't really interact with him that much.
And the show backstage?
And the show backstage, he would usually come in after we were done with hair and makeup, and he would, I think he had his own area he was hanging out in, and then he'd come out and watch the TV. And
I remember a moment.
Don't.
It was Chanel show, I think. Or no, or Karl Lagerfeld. So the call time was really early, like 6 a.m. and we showed up on time, and hair makeup was done. Then we have extra 4 hours to spend. And I had like 3 hours of sleep. And so I went to the floor to sleep. And I'm on the floor sitting, not sleeping yet, but getting there. And I feel someone is like, like almost stepping on me. And I was like, and then I turned, Karl was there.
Karl, I'm sleeping.
Oh my God, I mean, how dare.
It's so embarrassing.
What did he do?
No, he was like, it's backstage, a lot of people, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
But
you were awake and 100% for 7 days.
Sorry. I feel like his ego his demeanor was so kind. Yeah. Even though he put on this facade of being like tough and glasses and gloves, he was a very sweet person.
Yeah.
But also very outwardly opinionated. I feel like when he gets in front of the camera, he goes off. he loves it.
Karl, photographer.
Karl, as a photographer, he was it felt a bit more comfy. Like he had his desk. You would like eat dinner. You would always you'd do your hair and makeup, you'd eat dinner. And then around like 9 p.m. he'd come strolling in. Sometimes he'd come a bit earlier, but he wouldn't be ready to shoot until like midnight. Later. Like
and the call 10. Time was always later.
It was like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. So you would be chilling, and then suddenly, okay, Karl's here, he's ready to shoot. Okay. And then you're like about like having a little nap, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then you like get into your look, and then you run out there. And that was probably why my feet got messed up, because I was just sort of like, ah.
But then he also was so quick with
and then he was
photo,
quick.
Right?
Yeah, you would be there 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you would get the shot. He would be like, say something in German to me, and then I'd be like,
that's
feel
what
the vibe. Feel the vibe. Okay, I don't know what he's saying.
So he did speak German, because sometimes he would say something and I was like, oh, my English is so bad, I don't understand anything what he's saying.
Yeah.
But that was German, I guess.
Yeah, he's Austrian, actually.
Did you understand what he was saying?
No.
Ever?
No. But when he spoke English.
No, I mean when he was in that German mode.
In the German mode, I mean, I think I just sort of like had studied like a lot of his photography. So I just sort of like referenced off of that, and then like also like used the inspiration off the clothes. Like I would get inspired by the clothes, so I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll try this, and like, I kind of felt like I knew what he wanted in a way. And as a model, like, I feel like we are pretty empathetic, so we can kind of feel like, okay, he wants me to do this thing.
Yeah, you pick
and
up
he'll basically tell you. I felt like he would just basically tell
he
you.
Knew exactly
how he wanted the composition, and then you just like move around.
That's amazing.
There, you know.
Like that.
And I remember I said, "Oh my God, you're so quick," and he's like, "Of course." Like back in the days, they didn't have a lot of film.
Yeah.
Like they had to save. So why do we need to do 100 photos?
Yeah.
I see what it is, and I just take a picture of it. Done.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but that's a confident person.
Yeah.
Also. So you do have a favorite photos of yourself. Do you have a memories that you from a career that you don't want to remember, or do you regret anything?
I had a lot of time to contemplate this around when my foot injury was happening, and I felt like there were some moments that I regretted the treatment that I was getting, either from a hairstylist or from a makeup artist, or generally like how I reacted to a situation that I definitely do regret. There are moments where I'm like, I would actually be having nightmares about fashion scenarios, like being pinned, like poked, because I was a fit model for Prada. Not that they poked me that many times, but it was throughout my career that, you know, maybe a stylist was pinning something or something happened, and it was always like the pinning that just really like, oof. It was like, I now don't really react. I'm just like, yeah, I'm being poked because it's like, you're so worried about your reputation and how you're perceived with people that you kind of can disassociate your feeling with what is actually happening. And then there are instances where it's just like the agent wanting you to not sleep because you have the fitting at 2 a.m. and the show call time at 6 a.m. and they are just starting with you, so they don't know if you're going to be on it. And
do you think they did it on purpose?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Really? Tests we were going through.
Yeah, the tests. We were definitely tested.
Oh.
And I think that it definitely made me the person I am today. So saying that I regret it is also met with, it was a lesson.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in the fashion industry with that knowledge and research and everything that you never worked with and you wanted when you were 12 and doing all this research?
I mean, I think
photographer, stylist, designer.
I got to shoot with Arthur Elgott, but the photos were never published. And Grace Coddington was doing the styling, the editing, and they thought I was too sexy.
Wow.
So there were moments like that where I felt like I was slighted in my career. And then there are like brands like, oh, I wanted to work with Givenchy, I wanted to work with Balenciaga when Nicholas was there. And yeah, there are certain, I did once when I was really young. And that was a pinch me moment because Miranda Kerr was there and Giselle was there.
And Lindsey, how was it for you when you took a break and you had to go to normal life and interact with normal people after all this glamorous life?
I feel like my life has been a constant juxtapose between normal life and the modeling life, because I go back to Kansas when I was younger to finish school, but I got my GED and then started up the really bigger career. And it sort of felt like when you go to a concert and then you come out of a concert, each time you come out of the fast pace of coming to the big cities, it felt like that sort of like, you know, your ears are ringing, and it felt like that a lot, like surreal to come back to sort of a slower pace, and but also a lot of just like looking at the past and processing. It was a lot of processing to come out of that and be like, okay, I can't do this, I can't do that. I just have to focus on healing. So that was that was my experience. It's like healing my mental state, almost like a soul journey.
What helped you the most to heal?
Being sober, being present.
It's hard
going
to be present.
to nature. Yeah, going to nature, doing a lot of hikes. Even with my injury, I was still trying to hike. And then just sort of like looking at what I had achieved and appreciating it.
Mm-hmm. Did you know where you're going?
No, I was in a totally devastated, sort of desperate state of mind because I was like, what am I going to do?
Did you have any ideas?
I mean, I already had a house in Kansas, so I was like, okay, I'll go live in the middle of nowhere in Kansas, like by myself. So at that moment, I think I was trying to find a husband. At 20, 24, something, I don't know.
Going back to school, how was that experience?
Yeah.
How was school experience? Because you still stayed in
Yeah,
school.
I stayed up until I was 16, and then I got my GED. In the United States, you can get a test. You pre-test, and then you test, and then you can get the equivalence of like a high school diploma. And it was weird because my teachers were really cool about it, but the principal at some point was like, you missed too many days, like your parents need to come in. And I briefed my parents. I said, okay, you need to withdraw me. I'm getting my GED. And so they did. They understood because they knew the kind of work that I was doing. I was flying with my sister to Palm Springs to shoot British Vogue, and you know, it was a different situation than someone who was just like skipping school. I was really just going out for the work and then not able to be in school enough. So,
and peers,
I was pretty to myself. Honestly, people, I think I had a resting bitch face, so they were really like I wasn't the most approachable, but they would sometimes comment like, oh, you look like a model, or like,
did they know?
You're the model. Yeah, I think they knew. But I didn't. I had like a few friends. I had one friend who was always there for me, but at the same time he was like sort of in love with me secretly, I think. But I couldn't stay with a friend that wasn't platonic because I wasn't interested. And so it was actually a pretty isolating experience to be like doing this life. And then, so I would just like go do my art classes because I was in a magnet art law science. So I was in the art program. So most of my classes were just art. And then I would also do online school. I think towards the end, I was doing like my main core things online. But I had to come into school to do chemistry and do my art classes. And then they gave me like projects to do outside of school. So while I was missing all of the school, then I would do, they would assign me just like other things to do.
When did you find time to do that? With being busy at that
It was actually okay. There was one moment where I had to do an art project in 2 weeks when everyone else had a semester. And then I won like a first prize for the art project. But I would attribute my success in the art with my sister being good at it, watching her when I was growing up, but also like just like being hyper focused in the short amount of time that I was given with my schedule. Yeah.
What about prom?
So I was already out of school, and I went with a bunch of friends. I rented the limo for everyone.
Ooh.
It was a group of people. Some of them I didn't know. Some of them were my close friends at the time.
The dress?
The dress. So I was interviewed by somebody, and they said, who would you want to have your prom dress designed by? And that got me thinking. I was like, okay, well, the biggest American upcoming designer at the moment was Jason Wu. And he did Michelle Obama's inauguration dress. So I said, Jason Wu. Come to find out, it gets published, and then they reach out and they offer to do the dress. And so I give them the inspiration, this Kate Moss, pastel sort of yellow dress. And I say, like, I want it off shoulder, this, that. And so he makes it off of this one picture. And it's, yeah, I still have it. I was about to ask.
See, Lindsey, you're manifesting everything.
Yeah,
Whatever you want is happening.
Can we give you a list for us? So you manifested it for us?
Yeah.
So what is your next goals? What is your next desires, since you're so good at it?
Were you manifesting?
I can't tell the future. But, I think just to be happy and raise my son with the intentions of like doing education that's different than what I received, a bit freer and more focused on like the skills that you need in life, not just check all the boxes, do the assignments, push it in. You know, I really want like a different kind of enrichment for his life. So that's my new goal in life, is like.
What do you think is the most valuable skill for life?
Perseverance. Yeah, perseverance. And also, I would say being sort of, I don't know what the word is right now. Like being ready for things that you wouldn't normally have in your life, like being prepared for what's next. And I don't know if that's a good thing to be. It's like being scared of like a disaster happening. But
no, it's not scared. It's just
like,
to be open. And
yeah. I'm not sure.
I think
it's a sort of a survival. I've always been sort of a survivalist, I feel like, in this life of modeling and in my life as a child. Like, what is the best way to survive?
But don't you think the people with that kind of mode, being survivalist, are people who are actually succeeding? Because
maybe.
If you are not, if you're lethargic or just mellow, I don't think there is a strength in you to go steep or to jump over some obstacles on the road to achieve your dream.
Yeah, you have to have the grit, you have to have the work ethic, and I think that that's been the key. I even as a 7-year-old, like my teacher was like, she has really great work ethic. Where does she get it from? I would say that lesson was taught from my father, from my mother, mainly from my father, I feel like, and seeing him work really hard to achieve things for our family was really.
And Lindsey, what would you say now to your 5-year-old Lindsey?
You don't need a man to make you money. Because at 5 I was like, I'm gonna marry a doctor, I'm gonna marry a lawyer, and now I'm like,
no doctor, no lawyer, just
musician. Musician.
And you're doing everything together as a partner.
Yeah, we travel together.
That's amazing. Having a support is a
support, and also support for the baby, because I'm breastfeeding. I need to travel with all of them. Yeah.
I think we
got it all.
We would speak much longer, but we have to get out from here.
She needs to go. She needs to go.
And we're still not finished. We have a little game for you.
Okay.
I have one more question.
One more question. Okay,
just one more question. Where do you see yourself in 10, 15 years from now? We usually finish everything
40 or 45.
Oh, not number-wise.
I'm thinking, what do I want to do in my 40s? Hopefully I'm happy wherever I'm living and raising kids, and hopefully doing something creative.
Okay, and then another thing, 3 words that you describe your future in 3 words.
Prepare the game while she's thinking.
Wow, okay. 3 words, my future. Luscious.
Yay.
Luscious. Lovely. I don't know. I don't know.
See, she's open.
It's like luscious, like as in like greenery around.
Yeah.
And lovely as in like having loving energy around, and then
art.
Yeah, art, creative. Yeah.
Awesome. May
We
that
did
all
not have
be,
yeah.
Since you're a great manifester, you'll have it all.
Yeah, she will. She is manifester.
Yes.
Game.
Yeah.
She needs to go.
So we have a game. Questions. You have to pick this or that without thinking.
Okay, got it. Go ahead.
Runway show or editorial shoot?
Runway show, it's shorter.
Red lipstick or no makeup?
No makeup.
Beach vacation or mountain retreat?
Beach.
Coffee or matcha?
Coffee.
Vintage fashion or futuristic looks?
Vintage.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Social media detox or binge watching Netflix?
Binge watching Netflix and watching Homestead Rescue.
early morning workout or late night party?
Late night party.
Spa day or adventure hike? She likes both of them.
Spa.
After adventure hike. Gold jewelry or silver jewelry?
Platinum.
Spontaneous road trip or planned luxury vacation?
Planned luxury vacations. I've done too many spontaneous road trips in my life.
Let's make a change.
Awesome. Lindsey, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
That was
everything.
so fun.
Guys,
Yeah,
thank you so
easy.
much for watching, and please show your support your questions, and we may ask Lindsey,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll
Yes,
come back
follow
with it.
Lindsey, follow us, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fashion Host Podcast.